Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another random review. Today's random review is of Barking Dogs Never Bite, Bong Joo Ho's debut feature from the year 2000. This is available on Blu-ray from Artificial Eye with a double of Memories of Murder, and it's also available in the Artificial Eye Bong Joo Ho box set, which came out recently, which has Barking Dogs Never Bite, Memories of Murder, The Host, Mother, Snowpiercer, Parasite, and the black and white version of Parasite. And it's a lovely colourful box with beautiful little art cards. But first of all, I'm perhaps going to be a little bit hypocritical. I know what you're going to say, not again. I did a Eureka non-Masters of Cinema backlog cleared video recently, and I made comments about some animal death in The Painted Bird from 2019, how I felt it was a bit unnecessary and a bit much, and it kind of felt like it was just in there to get people riled up. And of course, Barking Dogs Never Bite has scenes of dogs being killed, dogs being prepared to be eaten. Bong Joo Ho continually kind of plays with some close calls of dogs being thrown off buildings or strangled and various things like that. And I'm going to somehow give this film a pass, whereas I didn't give Painted Bird a pass for the animal stuff. Excuse me. One of the things is Korea has a long history of eating dogs, which in the West we don't really do that. Even if we were starving, the idea of eating a dog is a little strange to us. From like 2019, Koreans ate like 1 million dogs a year. There's still factories that breed dogs for meat. There is a kind of tide turning in Korea against that, just with animal rights and other things. And again, it kind of goes back to our attitude towards animals, especially in the West. You know, we don't like to think about how animals get on our plate, but there's certain animals we eat, there's certain animals we don't eat. You know, it sometimes depends on, not exclusively, but how kind of cuddly they are, how furry they are. So we do have strange morals when it comes to animals. It's okay to butcher and slaughter and breed in tiny little cages some animals, but not other animals. So that's a kind of background. So eating dogs in Korea obviously isn't a huge big thing, whereas obviously in the West some people might watch this film and be shocked and appalled. Maybe another thing which doesn't necessarily make it right or anything is there's a lot of comedy in this film, and again Bong Joo Ho plays on the expectation. There's always dogs, well, it's really a tale of 3 dogs, but there's like dogs in jeopardy at times, and again it's playing on the audience, especially Western audiences, fear of well, you can't do that to a dog. Again, I mean, when you actually look, certainly through my collection, the number of films where animals are manipulated to give the audience emotional reactions, the number of films where cats are killed or tortured and then dogs are killed and tortured. It's quite a lot of films that use that. But so that's the kind of background, and that's me being hypocritical. The fact that I thought The Painted Bird was just a little nasty, whereas even though dogs do die and Barking Dogs Never Bite, and dogs are eaten or about to be eaten, it's never done, well, personally for me, in a nasty way. Obviously that's just my opinion. My opinion is not fact. Sometimes my facts are not facts. But back to the film, that's kind of the background. The film is about an unemployed lecturer who's struggling for money. He's been told that if you bribe the dean at a university, you'll get a professorship, and he needs 10 grand. So he's trying to cobble this together. His wife is pregnant. They have a rather argumentative relationship, and there is a dog at the apartment complex that's always barking and driving him up the wall. So he attempts to do something about it. He can't bring himself to kill the dog outright. He tries a couple of times with a couple of methods, but eventually he just abandons it in a cupboard. We are then introduced to a character, a young woman who works kind of the council offices. She has a friend who runs a convenience store. They basically hang out and sleep and smoke on the roof and things like that. But they run a photocopying service in the council, and to get your missing dog leaflet stamped, kind of approved, it's an official thing, she does that. So this little girl comes with missing poster for the dog that the guy has left in the cupboard. So we kind of see the consequences of his actions, because he's a pretty selfish person, and his worries and his concerns, like most of us, he doesn't really think of the consequences of his actions or how that affects other people. But then we feature dog number 2, when he realises, he reads the original poster from the little girl's dog, that the dog had surgery so he can't actually bark, so it wasn't him or her doing all the barking. So he focuses on this second dog that he does actually witness as being barking, and he wants to get rid of that dog too, so he can have some peace to work out how he's going to get a job as a professor. So it's an old woman, and she lives alone with the dog, and the girl who works in the kind of council offices befriends her when her dog inevitably goes missing as well, and her and her friend, while smoking on the rooftop, discover what actually happened to the dog, because they witness what the guy does to it. So they want to find out who this guy is and catch him, which leads to a wonderful chase sequence. This film, like all of Bong Joo Ho's, has a social critique going on as well. You're not allowed dogs in the apartment building, but people still do it. There's a comment about how people in this country are always breaking the rules. Again, in the apartment block, it's like a warren. You know, we see it from a distance. There's a couple of nice axial cuts. So it is like a warren. Everybody lives in these boxes, but some people break the rules and have dogs. And then we're introduced to the third dog, which is the guy's wife brings a dog home, much to his chagrin, and he has to walk it, and then it goes missing. And that's probably about as far as I'm going to go into the plot, as the different threads of the stories, his relationship with his wife, his selfish desire to become a professor, to try and get this money together, to bribe the dean. Again, this kind of stuff in the background about corruption and bribery, and again how everybody breaks the rules in the whole country. You know, people break the rules. And then you have the thread with the girl at the council. I'm calling it council offices. It's not really a council office. I'm not quite sure the official term. And her friend, her relationship with the old woman, which changes once her dog, well, we'll call it disappears. Again, there's a whole kind of social structure. There's obviously gives you hints about the attitude to dogs in the country, the attitude of poverty again, which obviously you would revisit to more award-winning fame and aplomb in Parasite. But again, you do get a feeling it's these people who are struggling to exist, struggling to find their way in the world. It's a funny film, again, depending on your sense of humour. Obviously some people might not find it funny at all, but I just thought it was interesting to talk about. Again, as far as I'm concerned, Bong Joo Ho hasn't made a bad film, and I would also say he hasn't made a good one either. They're all very good in my opinion. To me, they're all 4-star films and above. And again, the Artificial Eye collection has them nicely all in one place. But I just thought it was interesting to talk about how animals are treated in films, how our opinion and our relationship to how animals are used in film. Again, I give Bong Joo Ho a pass in this film, but I don't give The Painted Bird a pass. But again, that's just me, and I think it just speaks to the overarching relationship we have to animals. How, like I said at the start, we don't mind certain animals being bred and butchered and slaughtered, but other animals we're shocked and appalled at. Yeah, I just thought it was interesting to kind of highlight the differences between the two films in my mind. Anyway, but Barking Dogs Never Bite is a lot of fun. Again, it's stylish. There's a couple of really stylistic flourishes that are wonderful. As with all Bong Joon Ho's films, it's wonderfully acted, beautifully shot, and it is very funny, but still having a kind of social statements to make. So let me know what you think of Barking Dogs Never Bite, and hopefully you'll join me again for more random reviews. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films saying farewell.